Good morning, everybody, and a happy Thursday morning to you. I hope everybody's week is going well. Obviously, I'm sure you have an inkling as to what we will be discussing once we get to the Harry-Meghan news. But first, we have the fabulous royal family doing fabulous things. Let's jump in and cover, shall we? Let's go. We are starting off with Queen Camila, who went to Battersea. Now, she is patron of this charity. She was there for a really good thing. She was there to unveil a new location for a new dog garden. Now, Battersea, in case you don't know, is a dog and cat home. And the new area that was unveiled was created for the Chelsea Flower Show by broadcaster and gardening expert Monty Don. Now, we know that Queen Camilla is an avid animal lover. She has rehomed 3 Jack Russell Terriers from Battersea. And I love her. And I love the fact that she loves rescue animals, just like my rescue animals. I think it's fabulous. Now, this garden that she went to look at was designed in collaboration with the RHS and BBC Radio 2. It was gifted to the charity's London Centre, and it's going to provide a peaceful environment for rescue dogs. This area gives shade trees and sensory elements to help reduce stress for the animals that are in the charity's care. Now, for those of you who don't know, while Camilla has been the patron since 2017, her connection with Battersea extends back to 2010 when she opened the charity's state-of-the-art cattery. After the opening, Queen Camilla attended a reception with the staff, volunteers, and celebrity ambassadors, including Sue Perkins, Amanda Holden, David Gandy, and Dame Jacqueline Wilson. Last year, this place cared for over 2,700 dogs and over 2,400 cats across the 3 centers that they have. As Camilla is a big proponent of rescue animals, she released a picture of her cuddling one of her rescue dogs at her home. It's a lovely picture. I think she looks great. I love the cute little dog. Adorable. So the next thing that happens is Meghan Markle suddenly puts this out. Oh, she's enjoying a cup of tea in a sweet snap with her rescue dog, Mia. And people knew exactly what she was doing, and they called it out. They said that she's trying to overshadow Queen Camilla. Camilla has a rescue dog, so of course Meghan has to show her rescue dog. It's typical behavior. She always does this. She puts this picture up on Instagram, but what I noticed is it looks to me like she's pinching the dog. No, not nice. Let's move on now to the Duke of Edinburgh, who opened the pavilion at Home Park Lawn Tennis Club in Windsor on July 12th. All right, next up, it's news, so I'm reporting it. Donald Trump, with his wife, Melania, will be hosted by the King and Queen for a state visit to the UK, September 17th through the 19th of this year. They will be at Windsor Castle. And of course, William and Catherine, remember the royal family is apolitical. So of course they're going to greet this guy simply because he's president. Now, the interesting thing is that the visit is after the House of Commons goes on break. So therefore, Trump will not be making an address to Parliament. I think that's a smart thing to do. Moving on. All right, next up, this was very interesting. King Charles held his first ever Harmony Summit in Highgrove Gardens. This is a celebration of the King's philosophy of harmony with nature, and he's hoping it will become a regular gathering. There were representatives from indigenous people, tribes in the Amazon, environmentalists, climate campaigners, organic farmers, craftspeople, and there was even an actor there who's a director of a climate change group. Now, also was a film crew from Amazon Prime who's making a documentary for next year. They were, putting sacred smoke over apple trees, and very interesting. I think that would be something I'd like to watch. Let's move on. Let's move on now to Queen Camilla. This is so cool. She was installed as an honorary freeman and liveryman of the Worshipful Company of Stationers and Newspaper Makers at Stations Hall. That happened because they're recognizing Camilla's dedication to promoting literacy across the nation. King Charles has been a member since 1983, and they're reporting that her installation marked a significant movement for the organization, which has represented the book trade, printers, publishers, and communication industries for more than 600 years. Apparently, there were a lot of traditional elements befitting the company's long-standing customs and heritage. How cool is that? As Camila left the stationer's hall, the staff went outside and waved white handkerchiefs over their heads. Apparently that is a thing. I love it. All right, let's move on. Let's go back now to King Charles. He hosted India's men and women's cricket teams at St. James Palace in London on July 15th, right after the men's team lost a close match to England in the Lord's Test. Now, King Charles apparently demonstrated a real detailed knowledge of the players' lives and recent matches, including their performance in the Lord's Test. He even acknowledged the manner in which one of the players was dismissed from the match, saying it was really annoying. Ooh, that's interesting. The visit was to celebrate India's presence in the world of cricket and to celebrate the spirit of sportsmanship. Now, on the same day, I don't know if this was before or after the cricketers, King Charles held a Youth Opportunity Summit also at St. James Palace. He was joined by actor Idris Elba and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and the event focused on discussing youth opportunities and tackling issues like knife crime in the UK. So the two of them heard from young people affected by youth violence and organizations working to provide positive opportunities and prevention strategies. Now, Elba is an alumnus of the King's Trust, and he highlighted the importance of listening to young people to understand their experiences and provide effective support. And really quickly, I wanted to touch on this. A new portrait of the King commissioned by the Worshipful Company of Weavers, and it was painted by Simon Watkins. I think that's a lovely portrait. And finally, there was a tour of Highgrove Gardens. And then after the tour, guests had an evening of cheese and wine pairings with the Cheese Works of Cheltenham, where they talked about the art of cheese making and how you know which wine goes with which cheese. The only thing I can say is I do love cheese, and this reminds me of when I did a wine and chocolate pairing, which, believe it or not, is a thing, and it really made a difference. So this looks like a lot of fun. This looks like something I would enjoy, but I'd be drunk after the first glass. All right, let's move on now. Now, for those of you who might be interested in this, if you go to the Highgrove website, this is something that you can purchase and you can go do. It's a cheese and wine tasting experience. This is times when I wish I lived in the UK. I would totally do this, like constantly. Looks like a lot of fun. All right, let's move on. All right, I have to touch on this article that came out. You know, they're saying they called it Harry's Peace Summit, but actually it's his attempt to crawl back to the family that he spent the last 7 years trying to destroy. And the reason he wants to go back is because he realizes that that membership in the family is the only thing that made him relevant. And now that he's on the outside of it, he realizes that without the monarchy, he's got nothing and he is nothing. And there's a lot of talk that Harry realizes that once William is king, that door is going to be shut to him forever. So he really needs to try to wedge his foot in there. Well, that seems plausible. And he's become a boring 40-year-old irrelevant man living off the remnants of his past life. Now, they're calling them peace talks. I'm telling you, these were not peace talks. There were talks about Invictus. There were no peace talks. It's a PR push to change the UK's opinion of them. That's what this is. The king is still not speaking to Harry. William is still not speaking to Harry. And the fact that they even leaked that meeting shows that they're still untrustworthy. Well, GB News had something to say about that. Listen to this.
I ask though, Charlotte, why do they need aides to broker? Why can't Harry just turn up and go and have a beer or a cup of coffee with his dad and sort it out? Why are there aides? Why is it so formal?
Well, I mean, it's such a good question because they've got to the point where Charles cannot be in a room with his son without thinking things might leak out. And this has been proven time and time again. So they've had to kind of step back a bit and say, first of all, we'll have the aides talking to one another. And then hopefully the next step will be Harry and Charles being in a room together.
We all know that in the end, the biggest obstacle to Harry going back to his family is going to be his wife. Meghan has made it very clear she does not want to go back to the UK. She will not return without an apology, which the royal family is never going to give her. If anything, she and Harry owe the royal family a massive apology. But that's the way the narcissistic brain works. So when you have articles like this, Harry is tipped to make a bombshell decision for his children because now it's being reported in the big PR push initiative that Harry wants his children to go to school in the UK. They should grow up there. If you think for 1 second that Meghan Markle is ever going to let those kids leave the United States, you're smoking something. Here's my personal take on it. Harry and Meghan realize their kids are never going to work for the monarchy. They will have no ties to the monarchy. And I think Harry wants the kids to have relationships with George, Charlotte, and Louis. He wants them to go to school there. He wants to try to put his foot back in the door with the royal family so that his children have a chance to be royals, which I find shocking. Remember, he said they barely escaped with their lives. Ugh. All right, I want to touch really quick on the Invictus Games because another person, Michaela Richards, who worked for the foundation for 10 years and was a competitor, is leaving. No talking about why she's going or where she's going. She is simply going. So that's another key aide who's stepping down. And right before Harry returns to the UK, how many aides have they lost now? Kind of like the private people that they have for Archwell. He's having trouble keeping staff. I think the staff is aware of the money that's being funneled to them. I think they don't want to be associated. Just my personal opinion. We know that 2 high-level people left in 2022. We heard that his friend Dominic Reed resigned in 2024 amid the controversy about the ESPY award. Now this girl is going. I think people have had enough of him. All right, let's move on to our main story. Now let's get into our final story for today. Prince Harry, after this whole thing about a rapprochement with his family, gets on a plane and flies to Angola and once again is cosplaying being a royal. He landed more than likely in a private jet because if it wasn't, they would say so. And he arrived at the airport and he immediately was whisked to a meeting with the president and with other dignitaries to discuss the continuation of demining efforts. Now, this place, Angola, for those of you who don't know, is in Southwest Africa along the Atlantic coast. And there was a 27-year civil war up until 2002, but there's still some landmines. Millions of them were buried across the countryside. This is not the first time that Harry's been there. He was there in 2019. He was there much earlier than that. And of course, we know why he chose this. We chose it because this is something that his mother did, and he's following in the footsteps of Diana. Let's play the Diana card. Here we go. Now, who can forget the walk that Diana took to help bring attention to landmines? This took place, of course, before her death, and it was very pivotal what she did. So, of course, Harry decided back in 2019 that he was going to do the exact same thing and recreate the walk of his mother. The problem is his walk was fake. I don't think hers was. Maybe I'm wrong, but his was absolutely fake. These pictures, which I've shown you before, came up showing, see in the back to the right, the crooked tree. These people aren't wearing blast shields. They're not wearing helmets. There's the crooked tree to Harry's left. Because Harry would never walk through an actual minefield. So they set up a fake minefield for a photo op as Harry walked through. It was really kind of, for me, it was kind of hilarious, a little bit of a joke. Now, of course, people on Twitter made some unbelievable pictures. Once again, I'm not any good at doing those kinds of things. I can't even make my own thumbnails, but some of these pictures were really, really good. Of course, Harry flew over by himself without Meghan. If you can believe this one, Harry said that Meghan didn't go with him because it was too dangerous for her to join him. And a source, meaning one of the people that works for Harry and Meghan, came out and said, quote, "The Duke won't let his wife go to England over security concerns, so there was no chance he'd allow her to go to Angola to walk across landmines." I don't get that because, after all, they're not real. the areas that Harry is walking in have already been cleared. Now, the other thing that was said, which really I do believe, they said sources on the ground say that besides the dangers, Harry is keeping the work of Halo close to his chest. It's his thing. It means so much to him to be patron, and he wants to keep the word to himself. Sounds to me like he doesn't want his wife cosplaying Diana again and taking the attention away from the one patronage he has left that hasn't been tainted by something. After all, that's what happened to Centabale. That's what happened to African Parks. This is the one thing he has left, and he doesn't want Meghan Markle ruining it for him. That's really what's going on, in my opinion. All right, now finally, a big thank you to this person on Twitter. We know about the whole John Travolta thing, which is why I found this so funny. Way to go. Way to go. Oh my goodness, you know I want your comments, make them good. You know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.